Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So if you can figure out who done, then I'll punish everyone beast now then. To begin with...
We already know who did it.
Was that?
It was Hiro. He does not have an alibi for when the murders took place, and we found him in that suit. Don't try and deny it. You killed them.
I didn't! Someone knocked me out! I was asleep the whole time!
Shut your murdering mouth, murderer!
너가 얘기는
Who
아니잖아.
are you calling a murderer?
I am sorry to say, Hiro, but we do have evidence. Blueprint for the suit.
아니야, 글씨가 너무 엉망이야.
Parts we assume were used to build it. And all of it was found in your room. You have to admit, the evidence is quite compelling. It points to you as having created the suit and wearing it while committing crime after crime.
How many times do I have to tell you? I don't know!
정말 하가크레가 범인인가? 아닌가. 우선은 그것을 확실히 해야겠어. 아니지. 옷도 뭐 완전히 혼자서도 못 벗고 혼자서도 입기 힘들거든.
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I don't know anything about that stuff! It's not true! It's a conspiracy!
Hiro, why? Why did you kill them?
No! Just hold on a second!
확실한 증거.
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
이게 키가 헷갈려.
I don't know anything about that stuff!
It's not true! It's...
Hiro, why?
No! Just hold on a second!
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are that you are the culprit.
It's not true! It's...
Hiro, why?
No! Just hold on a second!
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts.
No, that's wrong!
Are we sure Hiro really made those blueprints?
What do you mean?
Well, take a look at this. It's the note that Hiro wrote. The handwriting's obviously different, wouldn't you say? When you compare it to the blueprints.
There's no way you could think the same person made both of them.
Unless that person made it a point to disguise their handwriting.
그래놓고 자기 방에 다.
No, the differences are bigger than that, I think.
Come on! I'm not smart enough to think of trying to change my handwriting anyway.
알고 있.
So Makoto, are you saying you don't think Hiro's the culprit?
And he's not the only one. I think Hiro's innocent as well.
What? Then who was in that Robo-Justice suit? Is it like Hiro said? Was there really someone running around in a second suit?
The suspicious individual hidden within the suit. Go ahead, Makoto. Tell them who it was.
아니, 너도 알면서 그건 나한테 넘기는
So?
거니까.
Who was in the Robo-Justice suit?
악의 비밀 열쇠 뭐야? 하가크레지.
I got it!
Other than Hiro, I can't think of anyone else it could have been. Obviously, he was the one in that particular suit, and we never found any kind of second suit.
Then there can be no doubt. Hiro is the prime suspect.
That doesn't make any sense. You just said Hiro didn't do it.
It makes perfect sense. Hiro was the suspicious individual in the suit, but he's not the culprit.
So what you're saying is...
That's right. The culprit in this case has nothing to do with being in the Robo-Justice suit.
What? Now that's a bold assumption. And what reason do you have to make such a statement? You do have a reason, yes?
Of course. But before we get to that, There's something else we need to clarify first. So let's get that out of the way.
Hey, stop trying to boss us around!
All things have a proper order.
맞는 말이야.
So what is it? What needs to be clarified?
We must clarify the method of transportation for Taka's lifeless body. It would seem that his corpse was moved using certain particular items.
그치?
Makoto, can you tell us what they were?
아, 왜 자꾸 나한테 넘겨? 내가 무슨 대변인이냐? 그것은 바로 시트를 말해야 돼? 수레를 말해야 돼? 둘 다 아니야? 일단 시트.
I got it!
아, 둘 다 고르는 거구나.
I got it! They were a dolly and a tarp, right?
왜 그래? 왜 혀를 차?
So, let's see if I can explain.
뭐야?
Taka's body disappeared from the equipment room, and then we rediscovered it in the repository. And when we found it for the second time, it was wrapped in a blue tarp, right? It was the same tarp that, up until then, was stored in the equipment room. So the killer must have seen it there and decided to use it when they moved Taka's body. That way, they wouldn't leave any bloodstains while they were moving it.
Okay, that explains the tarp. And the dolly?
Same thing. I'm sure the dolly was in the equipment room when we first found Taka's body there. But when the body disappeared, so did the dolly. Later, when Taka's body reappeared in the repository, so did the dolly.
In other words, you think they used the dolly to move the body. Am I right? But are you sure you are not mistaken?
스트레스.
Huh?
Are you absolutely positive the dolly was in the equipment room when we found Taka's body? That dolly was made specifically for moving large objects between the repository and the art room. It would be very strange indeed to discover it had made its way to the equipment room.
누가 갖다 놓은 거
Is it
아니야?
not possible that it was in the repository all along and you simply didn't realize it?
She's raised an objection. How do you respond?
들어버렸구나 나의 기능.
There is no shame in being wrong. Nobody expects much from you anyway.
왜 갑자기 나를까? 이거 마음에 안 들어.
We have all accepted the fact that you rarely understand what is going on around you.
내가? 내가 그런 캐릭터였어? 내가 여태까지 사건 다 해결했는데? 착각 캐릭터 그런 말을 들어본 적은 없지만 오명을 반납하기 위해서는 수레가 물리준비실에서 미술창고까지 이동했던 근거를 말해야 해. 아, 또 추가돼? 탄원수가 표시됩니다. 아, 이제 총알을 재장전 해야 되는구나. 아, 이것도? 아, 근데 벌써 이거야?
You have it wrong. I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst.
나한테 왜 그래, 처음부터?
You miserable wretch.
말씀?
I cannot agree. You are a fool. Do your worst. You have it wrong.
아, 뭐야?
I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. You miserable wretch. I cannot agree. You are a fool. your worst.
체유 일격.
I cannot agree.
This should prove it.
If you're asking for proof that the dolly moved, I have it right here. When I found the dolly in the repository, one of the wheels had a blood stain on it. There was a pool of blood in the equipment room with a tire mark in it that matched the dolly wheel's tread. The killer probably rolled the dolly through the blood on accident as they wheeled the body out of the room. And as the blood dried on the tire, they moved the body into the repository. So there's my proof that the dolly was used to move Taka's body.
세레스까지 나를 싫어하는 건가?
Well, anyway, that was just something we had to get out of the way. Let's get back to the main subject.
Yeah, the subject of how Robo Justice didn't do it. Because if it's not a killer robot, then... what kind of robot is it?
I'm not sure that really matters.
I'd be happy to explain why the occupant of the suit couldn't possibly be the killer. If you look back on how the body was transported, it will become immediately obvious.
괴한이 사건과 관계없다는 근거는 이시마루의 시체 운반 순서를 되돌아보면 안다니. 그건 무슨 의미지? 아니, 순서는 잘 기억이 안 나는데.
As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp, then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over. Then you could push the dolly no problem. So the killer just crouched down and carted the body off to the repository.
If you accept everything we just said, then you must realize that whoever was in the suit couldn't possibly be the culprit.
Sorry, I don't think I realize anything.
As we know, Taka was killed, and from there, the body...
Yeah, the culprit then loaded it onto...
Now, keep in mind...
Well, yeah, but all you'd have to do is bend over.
No!
No!
You're absolutely right that you could push a dolly without a handle if you stoop down low. But if you were wearing that suit, do you think you could actually get into a position like that?
What do you mean?
Think back to what you said when we were all checking out the suit together. Remember?
귀여워. 시야가 너무 나빠. 발등은 전혀 보이지도 않고. 잘도 이런 거 입고 다녔네. 그러니까 내가 아니라니까. 게다가 또 허리가 전혀 안 돌아가잖아. 살기 미스 아니야?
When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't even bend at the waist. Am I right about that?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
It seems like it'd be awfully hard to push that dolly if you couldn't bend over.
Well, what's to stop you from simply pushing the dolly with your feet?
When you can't even see your feet? You really think someone could kick the dolly all that way?
Yeah, it'd be totally impossible. Not that I can say for sure myself.
On top of that, if you were wearing such a rigid, cumbersome suit, it's very unlikely you would have the dexterity to go about wrapping the body in a tarp.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the body?
자력으로 벗을 수 없다.
I got it! I don't think taking off the suit was an option. If you remember...
왠지 모르겠지만 안 벗겨져. 누가 좀 도와줄래? 스스로 벗지도 못한 물건은 만들지 말았으면 좋겠어요. 나 이런 거 안 만들었다니까. 아무래도 짐의 걸쇠 때문에 벗겨지지 않는 거예요. 꽤 단단하게 달린 것 같아요. 어쩔 수 없네. 도와주자.
That's true. It seems impossible to put the suit on or take it off without help.
Then, you really can't take it off by yourself? Hero wasn't just making it up?
Of course I wasn't making it up.
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it. Showing up in the suit was basically an invitation for everyone to suspect it.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's really, really true that Robo-Justice couldn't have moved the dolly?
To be clear, whoever did move the body, it couldn't have been Hero in the robot suit, correct?
No, wait. Just a second, if you please. Have you forgotten about the picture that I took? You all got a good look at it, did you not? The image of Hifumi being dragged away by Robo-Justice?
그러게, 뭐 야스히로는 잠들어 있었다곤 해도 이렇게 세워놓을 순 있어도 야마다를 어떻게 붙잡겠지?
If whoever was in that suit is not the culprit, how do you explain that? Besides, do you remember what the now deceased Hifumi said?
그 상처는 어찌 된 거지? 당했어요, 그놈한테. 그놈이라니 저스티스 로보입니다. 방금 제가 이름 지은.
So long as those facts exist, the proper conclusion is beyond question. The individual inside the suit and the culprit are one and the same. It was Hero, without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gotta be right.
Hold on a second.
It's still far too early to reach that conclusion.
맞아, 맞아.
Besides, there's no hurry to decide who did it. Before we rush to a verdict, shouldn't we explore every single possibility?
맞아.
Instead of seizing on one viewpoint, the truth is uncovered by analyzing things from every angle.
Perhaps, but where do we go from here?
Let's review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning. Maybe we'll uncover something new.
What a pain in the ass!
I don't disagree, but our lives are on the line. If this is what it takes, we have to do it.
Plus, maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went down.
All right then, let's take another. I suppose we could start with this morning. 4 of us gathered together in the dining hall. Makoto, Hina, Kyoko, and myself. We waited there for quite a while, but nobody else showed up, so we went to look for everyone. That was around 8 a.m.
And as soon as we split up, Kyoko went missing.
Soon after that, Hina found Celeste in the rec room and quickly came to get Makoto and me.
It seems I was unconscious for about an hour after I was attacked by my mystery assailant. I know it was an hour because I remember being attacked a little after 7.
That was when we saw Celeste's picture and discovered that her assailant had been wearing a strange costume. As it turns out, it was Robo-Justice. It also soon became clear that this same Robo-Justice had abducted Hifumi. We were soon joined in our search by Byakuya and Toko, and then went on to find Hifumi in the library. He was injured, so we took him to the nurse's office and resumed our search for the suspect. But not long after leaving the nurse's office...
그림자예요. 그 계단 위에서 그림자가 움직였어요.
When Celeste told us that, we decided to split up and search the second floor. And soon after that,
I saw someone moving around on the 3rd floor, and I yelled out to everyone as soon as I did.
저스티스 어떻게 된 거야? 너 치고는 몹시 과장된 비명이었군. 봤어요, 그 코스프레 괴한. 제가 고함을 질렀더니 도망갔어요. 그러니까 다 세리스의 주장일 뿐이잖아.
And then,
야마다가 습격당했지.
at that point, we decided to divide up into two groups. Celeste, Hina, and I went back to the nurse's office, while Sakura, Byakuya, and Toko chased after the suspect. When we got back to the nurse's office, we found Hifumi dead, and that's when we heard the body discovery announcement. I left Celeste and Hina there and headed back to the third floor to let the others know what had happened.
Meanwhile, we had just discovered Taka's body in the equipment room. We must have found both bodies at almost exactly the same time, because we heard the same announcement not long after we discovered his body.
And that's when I told you guys about Hifumi. Then the three of us headed for the nurse's office. But right after we left the physics lab, we ran into Celeste, who'd arrived after us, and she told us something very surprising.
야마다의 시체가 사라졌다고요.
We rushed back to the nurse's office and saw that she was right.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko passed out in the equipment room, so we hurried back again.
설마 이건 우리 꿈이라도 꾸고 있는 건가?
But when we got there, we discovered that now Taka's body had also gone missing. Next thing we knew, we were searching the school for two missing dead bodies. And after some time,
Celeste informed us that she'd found the bodies, and we all headed to the repository, which is where we rediscovered the corpses.
I think that about covers it.
I see. The whole thing sounds exceptionally complicated. It certainly seems to me that these are not a simple series of connected events.
Okay, well, if that's true, then what?
Rather than a single series of events, I think we have to consider each murder a separate situation. And from there, we can uncover the contradictions surrounding all of them. Now then, let's get started, beginning with what happened to Taka.
이시마루의 사건에 숨겨진 모순점인가? 그 손목시계 시간 아닌가?
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last
what makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before
Or perhaps it was after. We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last
What makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
이거 아니야.
Shoot!
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in.
아니네.
Shoot!
뭐지?
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last
What makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
아직 망가진 시대 얘기가 아닌가?
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in.
Shoot!
이거
I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last
What makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
저스티스에 지정돼 있던 번호 뭔가 마음에 걸려.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last
What makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the
Justice Hammers! Shoot!
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in.
미안해요.
So, I wonder if, or perhaps it was. We already know what order Taka came last
What makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
다 해본 것 같은데.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last
What makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed.
이게 기억을 저장한 다음에 써야 되는 거였어.
While Taka's death,
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last
what makes you say that?
because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi, while Taka's death,
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding
I wonder if he, or perhaps it was. We already know what order they were killed in.
No, it's wrong!
농사! 기억하고 쓰는 걸 까먹어가지고.
Hold on. There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same order as their numbers. If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to disguise their actions.
So you're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used in order, but in reality, Taka was killed before Hifumi? Okay then, let's see the proof.
근거. 시계. 망가진 시계잖아. 형광 애너그램. 손목. 손. 손목. 개. 오케이.
Now I understand! I've got it! Taka's wristwatch! See? Look! It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer.
아, 임마! 언제까지 기대를 하는 거야? 이심하는 손목시기를 확인하면서 화가 난 듯한 집에 쳤다. 곧 10시라고! 착한 아이는 잘 시간이란 말이다.
So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked around 6 this morning.
And that would be his official time of death.
But if that's true, then he was killed well before Hifumi.
And before Celeste was attacked this morning, which happened around 7.
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents took place.
That simple fact slipped past all of us. We made the wrong assumption about the order of events, all because of those justice hammers.
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer and had them increase in size. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily make that wrong assumption.
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out the window. Because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder. But all of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's death.
That's right. With him, at least, we're all safe. When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Except for Hiro and Kyoko. Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body. That's totally true. We're all in the clear.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later on!
If that's true, where's the tape?
I don't know.
Don't just go making stuff up.
Anyway, we all have rock-solid alibis for when we heard Hifumi scream. Since all of us were there together, clearly none of us could have killed him.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when we discovered his body had disappeared. When his body vanished from the nurse's office, Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room, correct? And then there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office because of Hifumi going missing. Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka's body out of there right then!
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with Hifumi's body. Because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body disappeared.
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway. In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi or moved either of their bodies. On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared, so they most certainly could have done those things.
So what now, Kyoko?
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles. So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
야마다는
That's true.
직접 움직인
We
것
searched
같은데.
everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And according to what Celeste said,
그치만 저희들이 눈을 뗀 건 고작 1분 정도밖에 안 됐어요.
his body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it. But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the third in that short amount of time?
Oh man, yeah! There's no way! It'd be impossible!
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
What? How?
If the dead body were to move itself.
오늘 충격받아 다시 깨어나서 마지막 유언남인 것 같다.
The dead body moved on its own?
No! Not another... ghost!
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
He was alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
That it isn't possible.
아, 죽은 척하고 있었다고?
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
다시 눈 떴잖아.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us.
그거는
Hifumi's dead
20만
body
원이다.
had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, if Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's
실기리가
discovery.
이렇게 대놓고 나서서 방문할 때는 꼭 그 상대방이 범인이었던 것 같은데.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No, that's wrong.
인형파.
Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there somewhere. I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if two bodies had been found, there really should have been two announcements.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
What do you say, Monokuma? Any...
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail. But what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
That didn't answer our question, man. We're asking if you're a lazy bum.
No, actually, that was plenty.
Huh?
He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time, which means even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement again. If that's true, then why was the announcement made again later on?
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement twice.
동시에 시체를 발견했을 때, 두 번째는 야마다가 소생한 직후? 기억이 안 났어.
Shoot!
안 돼! 갑자기 나를 의심해? 빨리.
Is
응.
I refuse to give up yet. Was the body discovery announcement?
Of course it was.
Maybe.
That's right.
So there's a good.
First of all, if...
Maybe.
What do you say?
Well, but it's all...
That didn't answer.
No, actually, he said it's only... Even if we... If that...
Huh?
Exactly.
언제 나왔지? 기억이 안 나.
Shoot! I got it! We heard it a second time in the repository when we rediscovered the two bodies.
그랬구나.
It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us, doesn't it?
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
And in reality, when the two dead bodies were rediscovered, one of them was actually being discovered for the first time.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't actually dead yet. Meaning, he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
And that's just part of it. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know! Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boom!
That is the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still
살아나서
alive.
말했잖아.
Okay then, let's take another look at the events surrounding the discovery of his body.
그 피도 닦아져
Then it should
있었고,
become
안경
clear
닦기.
whether he was...
This whole thing is pointless.
그 뒤에 배경 예쁘다. 초승달이랑 푸른 백지. 이건 안경을 말해야겠네요.
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office. And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being moved, other than the change in how it was positioned, there was no notable difference.
오, 너무
No,
바로
it's
했다.
wrong. In fact, there was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
아, 그러면 기절했던 게 아니라 살아남으려고 죽은 척하고 앞이 안 보이니까 급히 안경닦이를 닦고 그걸 쓰레기통에 숨긴 다음에 도망간 건가?
Perhaps you'd like to fill the rest of us in?
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glasses were covered with blood. But when we found him again later in the repository, they were spotless. And I found the item he used to wipe them clean in the nurse's office trash can.
안경닦기.
I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should make things clear. This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glasses clean. And the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera, right? And whose digital camera was it? Hifumi's, of course.
The character was Princess Piggles from Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy Princess, I think.
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like this to school.
I see your point. And the only people here who wear glasses are...
I wouldn't be caught dead using a tacky piece of garbage like that.
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
휴지로 하면 흠집
Then there's no question. It belonged to Hifumi.
So what you're saying is... What exactly?
What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses was wiped away using his own glasses cleaning cloth.
Even if that is true, it does not mean he wiped the blood off himself.
범인이 닦아줄 일은
But who
없잖아.
would benefit from a clean pair of glasses other than the glasses owner?
That's a good point.
And it must have been him, right?
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can see. Then he stands up and walks out on his own 2 feet. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes possible, wouldn't you say?
But then, if he was just pretending to be dead, what was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies. He probably used one of those.
아예 죽은 척을 한 거야?
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out, so he just dumped it everywhere! But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done! God, what an idiot!
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is easily explained.
야마다가 한 짓이야?
It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
네? 그럼 야마다가 꾸미고 이시마를 죽인 거야?
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
야마다가 범인이었어?
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
The door was locked? Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside. Which means, when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who
설마.
just finished stashing Taka's body there.
그럼 야마다가 이시마루가 싫어서 죽이려고 한 건가? 죽인 건가? 근데 딱 범인은 하나라고 했는데 검정은 하나? 그러면 지금 생각난 게 야마다가 세레스 되게 좋아했잖아요. 막 더러운 돼지 하면서 막 온갖 거 시켜도 다 따라하고? 설마?
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository.
근데 그렇게까지 막
So,
말을 들어서
Hifumi
저런
wasn't
짓을
just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
이 새끼 내 이시마루를 해쳤어?
But that means he took part in the murders.
끝까지 마음에
I just can't believe it.
내 이시마루를.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed.
야마다가 그 로보한테 잡힌 척하고 사진을 찍은 거구나. 알리바이 만들려고.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
그리고 쪽지도 뺏어가고 나쁜 새끼 말이야.
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
야마다 안 불쌍해졌어.
Hidden note?
내 이시마루.
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
새끼로 보이는 구멍을 찾아냈다. 밖이 보인다. 여기서 나갈 수 있을지도. 모노쿠마가 눈치채면 곤란하니까 모두에게 비밀로 하고 아침 5시에 물리준비실로 집합.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go. Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
I see. Then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hiro. And that person could only have been...
이시마루. 야마다의 패티는 뭐?
I got it! That's right! Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
그러면 그 증거를 없애려고 뺏은 건가? 그 이시마루가 끝까지 끝을 잡고 있었고.
Hello! Over here! Objection! Objection!
아, 왜
I
그래?
don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right? So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy! Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi. Ugh! Yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
역시 제노사이드는 무섭지만 이런 일로 기가 꺾일 순 없어. 정육 조각이 있을 줄 알아서네. 그냥 그걸 바로 제시하면 안 돼? 어?
Huffy had the note, right? Then the person it was
이거
intended
복사해줘야
for
될 것 같은데?
must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said.
메모리
What time did it say to meet?
6시.
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter!
아,
The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
시계.
Huffy had the note, right? Then the person it was must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note. What time did it say to?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
No, it's wrong.
일부러 틱톡이라고 그러나? 시계 단어는?
No, there absolutely is a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered.
우리 이시마루.
You've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. Just the same as me. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster. Telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it? Stuffed down his pants, no less!
Most likely, Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
증거를 없애려고.
He stole it?
Where's your proof? Go ahead,
진짜
show us.
나쁜 새끼다 야마다. 내 이시마루.
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.